Recently of making this video, Ed Sheeran, yes, that famous singer from UK or something that made 1 or 2 hits, released a song about Pokemon. Then I saw this really funny tweet on Twitter that reads, I was fine with bad graphics and uninspired stories, but I draw the line at Ed Sheeran music. I laughed at this first, but then I thought of something. I thought, how is this even possible? How did this song, video, and whole project even come to be? When I was a kid growing up, Pokemon was just another kiddie Nintendo video game franchise, not a franchise that hired world-famous multi-million-dollar singers like Post Malone to make promos about. Like, imagine another one of Nintendo's franchises doing this. Kanye West making a song about Legend of Zelda, or Pokemon's rival Digimon hiring Taylor Swift to sing about Agumon. It's absurd. This feels no longer like a video game franchise, but something that Instagram-loving normies would like, or something TikTok users may find interesting. Not a nerd weeb franchise anymore. Did I realize something? This video topic was something I wanted to make for months, but through that Ed Sheeran video, I suddenly grasped something, and I would like to share that revelation with you Jerrycans today. Pokemon is no longer a video game franchise anymore. It's a brand. Let me explain. First of all, what is a brand? Well, I've never actually mentioned this before, but I do have a business major, so might as well put it to good use. According to the glossary of this textbook that I actually used in college, it's defined as a name, term, sign, symbol, or design, or a combination of these that identifies as fuck it. A brand means a type of product made by a company, to simply put it. Remember the product part. And what I mean is, it seems Pokemon is focusing less on video games and trying to become more of a brand that sells a bunch of products to maximize as much profit as possible. Whether you think it's Pokemon elevating itself from just a game series to something more higher, or Pokemon lowering itself to just greed while sacrificing art and pandering to the lowest common denominator is entirely up to you. You make the call. But first, let's look behind the history of Pokemon to see how it became this way before you can do that. When Pokemon started off, it started as 2 simple games on the Game Boy, Pokemon Red and Green versions. A relatively simple but fun game about where you go around collecting animals and making them fight with each other while fighting some bad guys and trying to become a champion. Simple, but then somehow that Nintendo or Game Freak realized those cute bastards are quite marketable. So the Pokemania of the 90s began. Everyone couldn't get enough of Pokemon. The games were a smash hit when released internationally. They made a console that was reaching its 8th birthday relevant again. An anime was created which also further propelled Pokemon and Pikachu to become a household name so that religious organizations could call it anti-Christian because it features evolution. Theatrical movies came out. It was just massive. Seriously, Time magazine calling Pokemon an addiction and questioning if it's bad for kids or not?
In my opinion, parents should not let their kids watch Pokemon, play Pokemon, buy Pokemon.
But by the time the Gen 3 Hoenn games came out in the 2000s, Pokemon wasn't such a big name anymore, at least compared to the late 90s. The games weren't selling as much compared to the first games, and movies degraded to straight-to-video releases. However, even though this is subjective, unlike other franchises that kind of fizzled out, Pokemon still remained relevant to the public eye because quality video games were getting constantly released that got good reviews and sold well. Hell, I was born in 1997, I was actually too young to be a late 90s Gen 1 or Kanto fanboy, but Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire got me into video games and Pokemon, and Nintendo in general. I remember all my friends from school playing Pokemon games on their Game Boy Advances, and the TCG was wildly popular. Even though Pokemania was gone, it was still a high-quality, relevant video game franchise, and in the heart of it was the mainline video games. You see, until Generation 7 of Pokemon, the Pokemon Company had a pretty consistent business model. First, release a Mew game with a Mew region and Mew Pokemon, hence the start of a Mew generation. Create other games like remakes or third games that tie into them, make spin-off games like Stadium or Mystery Dungeon that features the new generation of Pokemon. Meanwhile, in the anime, whenever a Mew Gen starts, start up a Mew season by having Ash travel to the Mew region so they could show off the Mew region and Mew Pokemon. Publish a manga with the brand new characters and region, and all the while create the usual merchandise like trading cards, plushies, and everything else that are based on the Mew region and Pokemons. Wow, I am really a business major, creating infographics for business models. What have I become? Anyways, in this business model, the Pokemon series didn't feel like a brand. It felt like a franchise where the video games were in the center at its heart, leading charge, and everything else was just spin-offs and merchandise of said video games created so they can profit from the success of the video games. In my opinion, this business model is what kept Pokemon relevant when 90s Pokemania ended. It's what got most Pokemon fans into the series. Everyone didn't really have a problem with this business model. Everything was peaceful until... everything changed when the Pokemon Go Nation attacked. In 2016, Pokemon Go became a massive hit, and I would argue Pokemania had a revival tour. Everyone, not just gamers or non-gamer young people, but from your average businessman to your dotty old grandma, was playing it when Pokemon Go was launched. Pokemon became a cultural phenomenon again, and in my opinion, this is the moment when Pokemon Company decided the main video game series were not going to be the center of focus anymore. I mean, is it a coincidence that the first Pokemon game that was developed after Go was our good old friend Pokemon Ultra Shit and Ultra Piss, aka the game where we copy and pasted the original Sun and Moon and sold it again with minor changes and less features for full price? It was obvious that this game was just rushed out so it can milk the success of Pokemon Go. It was made to get new people who got into Pokemon to go, huh, maybe I should buy a main series Pokemon game. Huh, there's a new release. Sweet, I'll buy it. Don't believe me? Well, the literal game that came out after USUM was, of course, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, a baby's first Pokemon game that was created so they could pander to the Pokemon Go crowd that maybe bought a Nintendo Switch. I mean, this game would have never existed if Pokemon Go never existed. No one in the Pokemon fandom was asking for another Kanto remake. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, in my opinion, was the catalyst that finally broke the original Pokemon model that I mentioned earlier. The business model of introducing a Mew region and Mons with Mew game and making spin-offs from it. Like, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee had almost nothing to do with the Alola games, couldn't trade with the Alola games, and the Alola Mons weren't even in the game, which was not at all true with the previous 3 remakes in Pokemon. Our business model of where the video games were in the center and building off of it was gone. No longer was the main series in the center. Yes, Pokemon was a highly merchandised franchise in the past too, but it still felt like it had a heart and a direction with the video games. The video games were good, so the merchandise and spin-offs were acceptable and to be celebrated as a fan. Pokemon, yes, is the most profitable IP in the world, and most of the money generated was not from the games but the merchandise. However, that was only possible only because there was a consistent source material. It's similar to how the Marvel Cinematic Universe is one of the most money-making movie franchises in the world, but that was only possible because MCU had a source material and characters from the comics to adapt to movie format. Pokemon was just a video game franchise with very successful merchandise, but now, instead, Pokemon's whole motto became, let's copy whatever that looks successful and maximize profit. Want to see it happen? Let's demonstrate. The next generation of Pokemon was Sword and Shield. Put aside Sword and Shield being battle rushed, it was still the newest Pokemon game generation, and if it was like the past, would have been the center of attention, but it wasn't. The Pokemon anime no longer featured Ash going to the latest Mew region in the games. He didn't go to Galar and had an adventure with Gloria and a gym leader while trying to become the champion of Galar. It became a series about Ash traveling to random familiar places and meeting old characters from the past. Do I smell desperate nostalgia bait? Cynthia, Iris
showed up and I clapped!
I clapped when I saw them too!
I clapped because I know
Pokemon.
I know what that is!
In the past, the newest Pokemon movies always were about the Mew legendary Pokemon from the newest region. Hoenn movie featured Groudon and Jirachi, Rayquaza and Deoxys, Sinnoh movies feature Dialga and Palkia, and you get my point. But magically, after 2016, we didn't get a Mew movie about Galar or Zacian or Zamazenta. No. We got a bunch of Kanto nostalgia bait movies, because Kanto is the most recognizable, I guess. After Sword and Shield, we didn't get Generation 8 style Pokemon third game or remake or sequel. Instead, we first got Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, faithful shitty Sinnoh remakes that had nothing to do with Galar or Gigantamax, that tried to copy the success of Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening by copying its aesthetic poorly. And we got Legends Arceus, which again, that had nothing to do with Galar or Gigantamax, that tried to copy the success of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild by copying its aesthetic poorly.
Spock. Comment.
Very bad poetry, Captain.
Like I said, let's copy whatever that looks successful and maximize profit. Speaking of copying whatever looks successful, previously, Pokemon had a lot of spin-off games that featured the Mew region and Mons when it came out, like the Mystery Dungeon games, Ranger games, and Conquest, and etc. But now, Pokemon spin-off games devolved to just copying trends. Gacha games on mobile phones are successful? Let's make Pokemon Masters! Mobile games like League of Legends are successful? Let's make Pokemon Unite while partnering with fucking Tencent so we can pander to the money-rich Chinese audience. That was the final straw that broke the camel's back for me, seeing Ishihara playing a League of Legends clone in front of a camera with no shame or whatsoever. I really think a Pokemon Battle Royale or Hero Shooter is not out of the realm of possibility at this point. Trying desperately to pander to nostalgia and be pathetically familiar. That's also why I think so many Gen 1 Pokemon get special treatment with Mew designs and forms, while the rest don't. The Generation 1 original 151 Kanto Pokemon, while I hate to admit it, are the most famous and iconic Pokemon that almost anyone on planet Earth can identify. Like, a Mew funny cute regional form of Diglett will be more marketable than a Mew funny cute regional form of some random Gen 6 Pokemon Barbarical or something. Ironically, they can't even be bothered to port over Pokemon models from the old games and National Dex, but rest assured, I bet most Gen 1 Pokemon will be there. The safe Pokemon for the Pokemon brand. Also, another final evidence that Pokemon is moving away from the main series video games. Remember when Pokemon games were on Nintendo Directs or Pokemon Directs? Remember when Mew Pokemon game trailers were actually shown off in Nintendo's E3 presentations? These days, it's not Direct, but instead Pokemon Presents, because a Nintendo Direct is a place where they have to talk about real video games. No, they ditched Direct because on Presents, they can talk about the next upcoming Mew character or cosmetic skin for Unite or Masters, or Mew free-to-play mobile game shit that no one cares about. At this point, I genuinely think the Pokemon company wants to ditch Nintendo and to switch altogether if it seems more profitable, but the only thing that's stopping that is because Nintendo owns a third of the company. This is what I mean when I say Pokemon doesn't feel like a video game series anymore and feels like a brand. A video game series is when developers have an artistic vision and create a game that'll be fun for a series. A brand is when a company doesn't care about art, try to sell products that can be made with least effort but while maximizing profit. And Pokemon is a brand. Pokemon is becoming a brand like Apple or McDonald's. Familiar, safe, pandering to your nostalgia, taking no risks. Who cares if the games are being rushed? Who cares if the games are suffering from mediocre quality? Who cares if the games are incomplete? Who cares if Pokemon made one of the most embarrassing video remakes in recent years? Who cares if Pokemon games have been using the same models and animations for almost a decade now? Who cares if the games look like a Nintendo 64 game? Who cares if the anime department is suffering from losses and is in trouble? The Pokemon brand will hire a singer to make songs so normies will like it, and we can maximize profit. The Pokemon brand will release 3 products in a span of 2 years on the Switch, when other franchises usually release games with many gap years. Yay!
This isn't funny!
Like I said in the beginning of the video, it's ultimately your call to make. The video is just expressing my personal thoughts and opinion about the current state of Pokemon. Do you think Pokemon has just naturally evolved and transcended beyond video games into a multimedia billion-dollar franchise and all of my complaints are just me being dour? Or do you think Pokemon has fallen from grace and lost its magic by degrading to becoming a bland, corporate brand franchise? It's a matter of opinion and one can look both ways, but personally, I think it's the latter. So if you still don't understand my concluding points, is this: I'm disappointed that the video games are getting sidelined, and Pokemon Company seems to favor money over art, and do anything that is random and greedy. There is no coordination in the direction of the franchise at the moment. The main series games aren't at the center anymore like in the past. Our old Pokemon business model where the games were in the center is now forever gone. Executive decisions are winning over arts and craft. Maybe that is the reason why I have no hype for Scarlet and Violet. It just feels like another new product of the Pokemon brand. Not a new exciting next installment in the Pokemon series like in the past. It just exists to fill a quota. Even if 3 goddamn Pokemon games hadn't come out in the last 2 years, I still wouldn't be buying it if it wasn't for my job. It just makes me feel cynical. Yeah, I know it's not out, it can still be a good game, and I know there must be plenty of artists, developers at Game Freak who have genuine passion for Pokemon and trying to create the best game possible. But that just makes it sadder because it means their passion and work is getting exploited by a corporate machine with unreasonable deadlines and expectations, so the company could pump out more rushed, incomplete products annually to sell to the dumb masses. And if you consider everything else surrounding it, the state of the Pokemon franchise these days, and just from the trailers, everything about it just feels soulless. It just exists because it's that time for a new generation again. Who cares if the game is complete or the graphics are polished? The fans will buy it up anyways. It feels as if these days, the new installment was just made because, we need more fucking new Pokemon and region for merchandise, whatever. Just make a new genuine region. Who cares? Well, I cared. And all of it just feels soulless.